He was about 30 years of age when he began. What does it feel like to know, and what does it cost? The thought that came to Yeshua on the morning he turned 30 was a small, complete certainty. The cedar plank beneath his hands knew the pressure of his palms. He had been working this bench for 11 years. His father, Yosef, for 30 before that. The workshop was still cool, dawn barely broken over Nazareth. Here, in the cedar-smelling dark, it was possible to believe that nothing was required of a man except the angle of the plane, the curl of the shaving, the smooth becoming smoother. Yeshua. His mother Miriam stood in the doorway with water. You've been at it since before the roosters. He told her he couldn't sleep. She looked at the plank, then at his face, searching, as she always did. It is your birthday, she said. 30 years? He knew. She reminded him of his father, a practical man. Yeshua's hands, which had been so sure a moment before, now declined to continue their work. His thoughts drifted to Jerusalem when he was 12, sitting among the scholars in the temple. The questions they discussed were not strange things. They were his own, native to him. He remembered his mother's anxious face, her question, "Child, why have you treated us like this?" and his own obvious reply, "Did you not know that I must be in my father's house?" She hadn't understood. He still couldn't explain it. He was 30 now. If there was a time, it was probably now. He looked up at his mother. "I'll eat soon," he said, pushing the real question back down into the margin of himself where it had always lived. The rumors about Yochanan, the baptizer, had been circulating for months. A wild man in the wilderness of Judea, eating locusts and wild honey, crying out about a kingdom coming, an axe laid to the root of trees. Yeshua's neighbor Shimon had gone to hear him and returned a changed man. "What did he say to you?" Yeshua had asked. Shimon looked almost embarrassed. "He looked at me," he said, "and then he said to share what I have." That was all. And Yeshua thought, what do I have? A workshop, a skill, a mother? And the question that had lived in him since boyhood. He had a sense that his life so far had been a long preparation. He wasn't sure he was ready for the story to begin. He told Miriam on a Wednesday, "I'm going to go hear Yochanan." The grinding stone in her hands continued to turn. "For how long?" she asked. "I don't know." She stopped, her eyes seeing both him and something else, something she'd been told long ago. "Yaakov will be angry," she said. "The workshop has more work than one man can manage." He knew. "What is it you're looking for?" she asked, her voice heavy. He looked at his carpenter's hands. "I don't know," he said. "I think I need to find out what I know." She nodded, a careful, deliberate acceptance. "I'll make bread for the road," she said. His brother Yaakov was not angry. He was resigned. Standing in the workshop, he said, "I don't understand you, but whatever it is you think you are, Yeshua, you are also a man." Yeshua finished the plank on Thursday. It was good work. He hoped it would last. The Jordan at Bethabara was thick with people, the air filled with a mix of festival and urgency. Yochanan stood waist deep in the slow brown water. He was thinner than the stories told, but his voice carried a desperate specificity. "Fruit worthy of repentance," he cried. When the crowd thinned, Yochanan waded to the bank and looked at Yeshua. It was not curiosity, it was recognition. "You've come," he said. "I have been saying that one is coming whose sandal I am not worthy to untie." Yeshua replied, "I know what you've been saying." "And you want me to baptize you?" Yochanan asked, shaking his head. "It should be the other way." "Nevertheless," Yeshua said. It was simply the word that came. The water was colder than he expected, a shock of reality. He went under, into a moment of brown quiet, then came up. And then something happened. It wasn't a vision or a sound, it was clarity, like a long, difficult calculation suddenly correcting itself, and all the figures reorganizing into perfect sense. Standing in the river, he understood what he was. He understood what was going to be required. He waded to the bank and sat on the stones, thinking of Nazareth, the finished plank, his mother's face. He could go back. There was still a workshop, there was still work, but he knew. No, not anymore. He sat until the sun was low, then he got up and walked north, into the wilderness. For 40 days he walked and he thought. The wilderness was not empty. It was full of quiet life and an immense silence that made his own heartbeat audible. He had not planned this. He had simply gone, needing air and distance. On the 17th day, doubt arrived as a small question. What if you misunderstood? He was a carpenter from Nazareth. Who was he to suppose that what happened in the river was what he thought it was? No answer came. God's silences were part of it. You could not feel abandoned by something that had never been there. On the 38th day, he almost went home. He could go back. Nothing compelled him. But he sat until the sun moved, and he did not go home. On the 40th day, he came down from the wilderness. He was thinner, hungrier, but he was committed. Certainty might not be the point. The point was faithfulness, showing up, doing the work. He thought of his father, Joseph, at the workbench. Yes, he thought, something like that.
If you're on the edge of your seat and need to know what happens next, you can find out by hitting that subscribe button so you can see all my novel previews. The complete story is available in my novel for sale on Amazon. And while you're there, be sure to check out my other novels. They range from science fiction to adventure and historical. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next chapter.